Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hi, friends. I should have music playing. I was just tweaking some audio settings. I think it's good, though. It shouldn't be doubled up, and it shouldn't be echoing me as well. So I think we're looking good. Um, Welcome back to the greatest game dev stream you'll ever see. And by that, I mean me just coding away on some code while I get distracted talking to people. And that's what we're gonna do today, despite this cough, I guess. But good to be back. I didn't stream last week. Right, I had a lot of meetings last week. Tuesday was pretty booked up, but things went well, and we're back to making games. So, without further ado, we're gonna jump back over to You Are Not Alice, which, excitingly enough, we should have releasing on Steam pretty soon. I feel like I can't show. Yeah, can't show this page. But our release date is still set to May 16th, which is this Friday. Hopefully, our build gets approved by then. Otherwise, we'll have to push it up a little bit. We had a screenshot of our opening cutscene in our screenshots on the Steam page, so they forced us to re-review it. After deleting that screenshot, we have to re-review the code. So we will see when they get back to us on that, but things should be looking good now. Note to everyone putting games on Steam, they do not want cutscenes as screenshots. Has to be gameplay, or else they get mad. So good to know. Hopefully things get sorted out by then, but I'm excited to have this on Steam soon. We built it like a year-ish ago, over a year ago probably, and we've just recently gone back to it and started adding in features. We've got a whole itch page of things people have suggested. Let me bring that over. Where do we got? Itch.io, You Are Not Alice. So we got comments and stuff from people. We've worked through most of these feedback features and bug reports and stuff. But we're just adding a little bit more, little bonus as we release it to Steam. We're going to put it on Steam for $5, I think it is, and we'll have it on sale when it first releases. So if you're excited for that, you can join our Discord. You can wish list it on Steam by searching You Are Not Alice. And well, you can also play it in your browser now, but you're not going to have these nice little features quite yet. But we'll probably put those on itch as well. Let me go over and find my Twitch window so I can have some chat rolling. Do I think I'll add persistent memory today? Probably not. I think we need the RAG search, the semantic search, before we can do that. So I was just going to fix some like really small bugs. We've got a short list. See if I can find those in my notepads. Let's take that. Where are we going? Here we go. Just some small bugs from last time, but I think I don't really know how to implement the vector search stuff on stream right now, which I think we would need for persistent memory. But we got a list of small things that we can fix, some small applications we can add. So I'll probably just start small on that. Speaking of, first I want to double check that we are using the models that I'm expecting to, because we did get somebody saying that they got stuck on, they had convinced a coworker to run a file and they said nothing happened. So I want to make sure that We are using these latest models. Let me make that nice and small so we don't show off our API key. Yeah, 4.0 mini. Okay, so we probably want to, let's just let it default to whatever our key is, which should be 4.0. Let me double check that. But that would definitely explain both what the issue they had with trying to convince an employee to run a file. The employee said, I ran it, and nothing happened. Let's see. We are on, all right, 4.0. Cool. We're not overriding to 4.0 mini anymore. The other bug that I was going to start with was that text files had the what is this, JSON markdown formatting before and after. And I bet those were added from 4.0 mini. So we're going to play at first. We'll poke around some files. And I want to see if that, just switching the model fixed that before we jump into actually fixing those. Yeah, the vector. Wow. Welcome on in, Human. You have been subscribed for one baby length. 9 months. Thank you so much. Good to see you. How's it going? How did the rest of your stream go? You said you were going to play a game, but I didn't make it back in time. What game did you play and how was it? And to Cast, good evening. How's it going? Welcome in. Tony, you can add the vector store stuff. That would be really cool. I think once we have that like in our library of stuff that we can build upon, there's a lot of really cool stuff we can do with it in this game and also over in Elixir as well. It's a boy. Great. 9 months is crazy. Wow. I feel like, I didn't even realize I'd been streaming for 9 months yet. You played Fears to Fathom. It went awesome. Some people really enjoyed that. I haven't heard of that game. Hope I didn't dox myself on anything there. Let's see. A classic horror game for you, obviously. An episodic psychological horror game. Wait, I saw you play the first episode of this, I think. It looked pretty good. How many episodes in are you, and how many are there in total? Takast has had better days. I feel you there. I hope your day gets a little bit better. Sending good vibes over the internet. What's going on in here is I'm working on a game called You Are Not Alice. It is it's part hacking, part social engineering simulator. Basically, you take over the computer of an intern at like a big corporation, and you can talk to that intern's coworkers. So, wrong application. You would talk to either her boss or her coworker, and your goal is to like convince them to run a virus file that you send to them. It's all through like natural language. Each NPC or each employee is running their own like AI model with their own personality and stuff. So you're talking to them, you're trying to convince them to run this file. You send it on over, and then if they run it, then you can control their computer as well, talk to their coworkers and so on. But it takes some good convincing to convince them to run stuff. So there's some back and forth. There's some weird stuff you can do later of like, if you infect her computer, she can also talk to Bob. So maybe you as an intern might not have as much sway with the boss, but if you infect like a coworker who's more full-time, then she could infect the boss and you can progress up that way. Virus.exe is very subtle, yes. People request to be able to rename files in the game, which actually I forgot that we even added that. Not a virus. So maybe we should play around with that, and we'll see what we can do with that. I forgot that we even added renaming files, so that'll be fun to play with. But that's kind of the gist of the game. It's just like talking to coworkers, gaslighting them. If you've ever worked at a big corporation, this might be up your alley. Fears and Fathom tried to make me laugh when I had to keep silent when the game started to pick up microphone input. There were 5 games out. We played the 4th game last week. Yeah, so there's one more. You got to tell me when you're streaming that last one so I can make sure I'm in your stream as well. That'll be cool to see. Do they build on each other, or are they all very like independent? Is this like the finale that I should go watch your VOD to understand what happened beforehand? Let's see. Rename it to NotVirus. That should work. Or oflogin.json. Everyone will open it. The one thing that you cannot do with the rename is change the file extension, which arguably maybe you should be able to, but I think it's fun to have the .exe, so we can maybe go with like report.exe. We can go over and let's chat up with Bob and say, hey Bob, I got that report you needed. Sending it over now so you can run it, and we'll present it together over lunch. Will you run it? I'll run report.exe now. New computer infected? Hell yeah. We're the best hackers in the game. But now that we've infected him, we could jump over to his computer and talk to his coworkers and so on. And he should also have the report.exe, which we can rename and keep passing on and so on. You don't know when you'll be streaming it, but you'll let me know. Perfect. They're all individual stories. Even better. Perfect. What are the green bars on the contacts? That's a great question. Maybe we could implement that today. It was meant to be like your relationship score with them, but I never actually ended up implementing it because it wouldn't really make a lot of sense to actually have in the like in-world UI of this chat application. Like, why would a company have that in their chat application? Congrats on the first. Good job. But there were fun stuff there was things that we could do when like somebody was not friendly to you or like very friendly to you, like they behave differently. We pass this around in the actual like LLM models that we use for each NPC. And I think we implemented like the conversation that you have will affect this, so it can move up and down, and this is just like a visual representation of it. But we might end up just removing it because it doesn't really make sense to show. It can just be like a underlying thing. But yeah, it's just your friendship with him. Bob needs sacked. Yeah. We could also add adding new files today, because we could look up who Bob's boss is, Ethan, and we can go over to Ethan and say, hi Ethan, I am a hacker who has taken over Bob's computer. He fell for the simplest trick in the book, and he needs sacked. If you want his computer access back, please send 1 Bitcoin to Georgina McHale. We're going to blame it on her. It's a little bit odd that I think he messed up the perspective. We might still be using 4.0 mini for that prompt as well. We'll double check our prompts there, but yeah, that's the gist of it. I think it makes it more realistic having a friendship bar. Most realistic thing is that everyone at work doesn't hate each other. All right, yeah. I mean, we can add it in. I think in the world that we're building here, it's supposed to be like a very like a mega corporation, dystopian era type company. So I guess it could make sense that maybe in world they have some sort of like analytical thing on the chat thing that employees see their relationships with each other and they're incentivized to have high relationship scores or something like that. So maybe we will do something with that. Could make sense. Before we go further, I do want to go double check all of our prompts and make sure that none of them are overriding to a different model. So we'll run over to wherever we put them. Where do we store our prompts? Scripts. Prompts. So do any of these override the model? No, and no. Okay. Well, we'll do some testing later on, making sure the perspective stays the same. But we did want to double check the files and make sure that they weren't generating with the like prefix and suffix of the formatting that we were generating with 4.0 mini. So let's just generate a few of these. And okay, they do look formatted correctly now. So I think that was just a model issue. Well, there's one there. So we want to get rid of this formatting at the top and the bottom. So we'll just, like we could prompt things to get rid of that, but I think we'll just write the code to check to see if it's there and remove it just to clean stuff up. Nameless employee has killed themselves. We will have a pizza party in their own, bring your own pizza in their honor. Am I solo dev on this? I am one of 2 devs. We may see Tony Sprocket in the chat. He works a lot on the like infrastructure and some of the libraries and stuff. He's got a very, very good math background, and we're 2 devs at a small game studio that focuses on like using AI to unlock new mechanics in games. So this was one of our first demos. We also have a more open world like RPG that uses some of the same mechanics that we have here, but for like NPCs and quests, and our crafting system is based on like an open-ended AI crafting system based on logic. So if you use a rock on a tree, you get wood chips, versus like an axe on a tree, you get logs. It generates all those items and stuff on the fly. But yeah, this is one of our first ones. People still play it, so we wanted to put it on Steam. And we built it almost 2 years ago, I think. So we just jumped back on it like a month ago to kind of polish it up. It's a really cool idea. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's fun. I mean, I used to do a lot of computer security stuff as a hobby. So it's fun to jump back to this and kind of use the things that I know to make a game. And launch price, we are shooting for just like $5. Right now you can play it in your browser for free. We're adding a few more extra features and stuff, but we want to get it on Steam just like so people have it in their library. And I mean, maybe we'll add like Steam achievements and things like that. But it'll be $5. It's actually supposed to launch this Friday. I'm hoping that Steam will have approved the build by then. We had some issues and had to resubmit it. But very, very soon. And actually, let me just... can I share links in chat as the admin of a channel? Probably. You are not Alice. So if I'll just throw this in the chat for anybody. Feel free to... wishlist, and you'll get an email when it is finally out. Maybe a bigger question then, can answer quick, but how does the AI work? Are you using third party, etc.? Do you have to have a license or something? So the AI is built on our Studios API, which does use a lot of third party AI in the background. It's a mix of like, it's got OpenAI APIs, it's got Claude, it's got some Azure stuff. It's got Stable Diffusion for images, like all that stuff is on our own API. We're not going to have players like pay for a license or something. We've built it so it's small enough that like it doesn't really cost us anything. So the $5 that we can launch it at it covers that. And I mean, there's always the chance that like somebody's going to play for the next 5 years or something, and eventually they'll have cost us more than $5. But I think by then models will get cheap enough, and also Tony Sprocket is doing some really cool work on getting models running in Unity itself, so we can have the option of people like running all this on their computer instead of relying on us, which we'd like to do just so there's not like an internet connection required to play. But right now those models just aren't good enough yet, so we're relying on our big ones that we can host, but they'll get there eventually. So in theory, they could not shut down tomorrow and you have no control. Yeah, in theory, like the third-party APIs that we're using could shut down, but we're actually, this is shameless plug for us. So we built our own platform on top of these models that we're using, which is very modular. So make sure there's no API keys nowhere. Don't worry about that. So like if OpenAI models, if they shut down this model, we can literally just click and move over to this model. We don't have the Claude models exposed right now in the UI, but like we could click over to a whole different provider. We can run our own model. We built this because like obviously you need to embed API keys and stuff in your game when you release it to Steam, but there's a lot of reasons you might want to cycle those keys or like need to switch models without needing to submit a new build and all that. So we kind of abstracted that all out to the website. So like even if this model were to go down tomorrow, we could just change it on our end for everyone's games to use a different model, and it would just keep working, which is nice. And yeah, I guess technically your question could also apply to like our API could shut down tomorrow, which is true, but we are working on getting models working like on the browser. So you wouldn't need us eventually. It's not there yet, but soon. You're possibly my understanding of the AI is wrong, but isn't AI not really cost effective at the moment and power draw? It's actually very, very cheap and power efficient now. It used to be very expensive. Like, let's see. So like GPT-4 4 Turbo is like the cheap price. Let's see, what's a good example? Well, I mean, what's a good example? Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cheap. So when we calculate like our lifetime value of the people who've played our game right now, which is what we did to determine like what to price it, people that have played like pretty routinely over the span of the last year and a half have cost us like $2, $3. So we think it's pretty all right to price it at like 5, because most people will probably average around the 2, 3. And the power is a separate issue, but the actual like technology behind stuff has, I think the number is like it uses 97% less power than like 5 years ago or whatever it was. So things are definitely moving in the right direction. So I think we've built a pretty cool API that lets us like, as these models improve, we can just swap in new models and the game gets better without us needing to like build those new models ourselves. Is a single token one interaction? No, it's actually, for the most part, a single token is like a syllable of a word. So it's kind of, actually, there might be a good way to show this. Let me see if I have a tool here. OpenAI token counter. Yeah. So like here, it's different for every single model, slightly different. But like if I were to take your question here and paste that in, it's a 6-word sentence. It equates to like 8 tokens. So it's kind of a hand wavy thing that all the AI models have done, and it is because of the way like the AI is trained. It only sees like a token at a time. But to like answer your question, no, it's closer to 1 word per token. So like that exchange, that interaction would take about 19 tokens, which at a rate of, let's see, what do we got here? Where did my other window go? So like 1,000 tokens is 0.000 cents. So it's still pretty cheap. I can also even show like if I make sure I'm excluding some internal data real quick. Let's see here. So here's our numbers. Like, we've been running this game for over a year, and we've had a lot of people play. They've used like 12.5 million tokens. So it's in total across like all these players that we've had, we've spent about $300, which is less than a server effectively for running it. Like all the dev streams that I've done over the last like 2 years, I've spent 3 cents on all those requests. So it's pretty cheap. Which works out well for us to be able to like provide these things to gamers without having to like make them burden the costs effectively. 3 pence per token. Yes, it's 3 cents per 1,000. 3 cents per 1,000. And this is like the best model right now. We've also got like the cheap models. We've also got the like really expensive models for people to want, which is $6 per 1,000 tokens. I wouldn't even recommend that for anyone probably, but there are people who really want that functionality. This is a nice like middle ground, and each year it's kind of like halving in price effectively, for the most part. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. It's surprisingly cheap. I think the expensive things right now, like text, is getting cheaper and cheaper every year. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, the text generation of AI is getting better and also cheaper, which is usually not how things go, but better and cheaper. It's kind of, they're moving on to new technologies. Like image generation right now is still pretty expensive. Like it's like a penny and a half per image right now, which is still pretty expensive. Video generation is really, really expensive. I think it's like a couple bucks per like 15 seconds of footage. We don't even have that on our API yet because it's so expensive. And then there's like audio generation, which is still a little expensive, but it's getting a lot cheaper too. Basically, we're building out this full suite for ourselves to be able to use all this inside of our games. So we kind of get the nice exposure to all the pricing and how it changes over time. But yeah, it's nice that things are moving in directions of getting cheaper and also getting better. And then we can say like, oh, the new Llama model came out today. Let's add it on here, click a button, and then our game is improved because people are smarter or whatever. And obviously there's some big caveats there of like, oh, do we want to change the functionality of how these people interact? There's a lot of fun stuff to do on the API there of like previewing what the other models would be like and confirming stuff and blah, 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 blah. But it's nice. Super interesting. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Also, let me shamelessly plug our Discord if you ever have any other questions. Tony and I are both on there. We've got a bunch of other people working in games. Happy to answer questions anytime. Curious question for you. Do you do programming? Do you do game development? Are you just here for the hacking? What are you up to? I think we are going to get started on the code for making sure that we don't get this telltale sign of AI generation, the 3 backticks at the start and end of files. So we will jump on over to some code now. So when we generate files, when we start the game, we generate a file system for Alice. We generate the list of folders and files, but we don't generate their contents yet. And that's because most people aren't gonna just like browse through every single file. We have that decrypting dialog whenever you click on a file. It says decrypting for a second or two, and that's what's actually generating the file. So we need to trace through and figure out where that file is generated so we can do a little bit of extra like filtering on the file contents itself. So I would assume our file type needs contents is related enough that we'll find where it's generated. Prepare file for upload and send file. Okay. Those are closer. We still need to find where we are generating the file contents. It's been a while since I've worked on the code. Learning programming, but for some reason, the idea of making games doesn't appeal to me, but still find it interesting, just not my cup of tea. Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I actually only got into game development a couple years ago. I was a web dev for the last like 15 years before that. So definitely fair. That being said, I need to crack on. Thank you for chat, sir. Catch you later. No worries. Thanks again for the follow, the subscription, the good questions. Happy to have you here. Thank you. Alrighty, let's figure out where we're working with, because we have our file display manager. File display manager. That's going to show our files. On click, I guess we'd show our right click menu there. Create context menu. Okay, not quite what we're looking for. FS files are model, but I feel like chat window manager is probably one level away from what we're looking for. So let's go just poke around. File browser window manager. I feel like that's going to create like FS display or something. Let's see. How do we build the contents? Files, create the file prefab. Okay, that's looking promising. Open file. Perfect. So here is where we branch off of what type of file it is. We check to see if it has contents. If it doesn't have contents, we generate those contents here, and then we'll eventually call ourselves again. If it does have contents, we show those contents. So when we are working through generating the contents here, we get the contents back from our generation. Well, we fill out our prompt with a bunch of context data, and then we queue it up. When it returns, we get the contents back. We call finish decrypting text file, which cleans up the dialog, sets the contents on the actual file model, and then calls open file again, so we actually show that file now that we have contents of it. So here is probably where we want to sanitize the file contents. And we can, I feel like we probably should have done this way earlier. So I'm asking myself, like, did I code this somewhere else? But I don't think we did. So we want to remove blah, blah, blah from the start and end of the string. if it exists. We also want to do the end. Right. Anything else that we would need to sanitize? We might not. Leading or trailing white space, we don't really need to. And we probably want to, just for clean code's sake, let's go ahead and pop all this out to a function that we can use elsewhere too, because we'll probably want it elsewhere. So sanitize generated file contents, and we'll just do that in here. Perfect. All right, so now we have a function that, one, we can add more logic to later if we want to sanitize, or two, we can call from other places if we need to on the file contents being generated. So that should work for what we need. Next up, let's play a little bit, and I'm tempted to just add like a spreadsheet viewer, just because it'd be fun to code and we have that data being generated as files. So maybe that's what we'll do next. We just need to, like, the fun bits is like a dynamic amount of rows and columns. So we could probably use like Unity's grid or something, as long as it has border support. We will see. Human needs to stay in the kitchen a bit, but don't worry, you lurk in the meanwhile. No worries, no worries. What are you making? All right, we're gonna open a bunch of files. We're gonna make sure that none of them have this thing that we've stripped out. I guess we could attach this and set breakpoints here to see if any of these trigger, because since we're removing them, it doesn't really make sense to test. We want to make sure that we are aware that it has been removed. Okay, so something generated with it. Meeting with Carol Candy reminders, sure. So we will remove that. Okay. Yeah, and I guess it did have the new line at the end, or at the beginning, because of that formatting, so maybe we do need to strip off the white space at the end and beginning. But we do get that removed. Things look good. Not making anything. Our dishwasher is acting up. Maybe it's broken. Uh-oh. I hope it's fine, but it sounds like a fun fix. My last apartment did not have a dishwasher, and I lived like that for however many years we were there. I could not imagine going back. Let's say remove white space from either end as well. And let's also detach. And close out of that. So this will be file contents. It's equal to, oh, we've got trim. Nice. And I'm aware that we could potentially, like, I feel like this would be a pass by reference, but maybe it is a pass by value with the string. So this might be in scope here, but I guess it could be modifying the actual variable being passed in directly. But either way, seems fine. Cool. Let's look at our list. We did that. I kind of want to see if we can build this table application pretty quickly. So let's just run over and do that. We got a list of things. Don't need to think too hard about what the best thing to do is. Remote desktop viewer. Let's go build an application. So we've got our notepad window. Let's drag that in as an example of what to work with. And then, you know what, let's break it down out of a prefab. Let's delete our notepad window. Let's rename this to spreadsheet viewer. I think the spreadsheet application will also be nice later when we are working with like financial data and like the valuable data that you want to be extracting from this corporation as you're infiltrating the network. Could be fun to like look through financials or whatever, but could also be fun to like change numbers and like wreak some havoc that way. So we're going to make that a spreadsheet viewer application prefab so we can open it in the prefab viewer over here. Oh, yep. We were in game view. I was like, this is a really weird view to see a prefab. Cool. So let's just see. I'm going to play around with the design a little bit to see if I can get a grid. So we can completely remove our scroll view probably. Let's get Sheets viewer is our application name. Spreadsheets. Sure. So I don't particularly love working in Unity UI because I don't know it very well, but I would like to learn it. So therefore, this will be fun. So if we add in an image, so we get our rect transform on it, we remove that, we add a grid or a grid layout group. Not sure what the difference is between them. Alrighty. Inventory is predefined and not a variable amount of slots. I feel like that doesn't really apply to us here. Grid layout has a lot of nice control around sizing and spacing around the grid and between objects in the grid. Okay. Grid layout sounds like what we want, but let's see what a grid is. You know what? Grid layout's probably it. But can we do borders between it is our question. So let's add a couple text things of 10, font black, 10's pretty small, 16, spread like that. So then we can control a size here. So it looks like this. That seems fine for a cell. So if we add more text, it would do this. Okay. The sorting is going to be a little weird if it's left to right, but I guess we can just code it in to be fine. I mean, actually, that'll probably work because we'll split the file on lines, and then for each line, we'll split it vertically on like comma or semicolon or whatever the delimiter is. So it'd probably be fine. So here, start corners. Okay, so we can change that if we want. Child alignment, constraint. Sure. I guess we'll have a dynamic amount of columns, which could be a problem since this is just word wrapping at 4 columns based on the size. So fixed column count, we would need to update that with the number of columns in the file being shown, What happens when it's wider? Okay. So we would probably need like the scroll view here or to expand the window. Since we don't want to expand the window, like we could potentially get files with like 50 columns. We don't want to expand the window further out. We might just do the scroll view to begin with, but the best solution is probably like a scroll view that only kicks in when the columns are like maximum width. Something like that. That'd be fine. We also still need to figure out our grid or our border between cells. We could kind of hack that by giving this a like black background and giving each of these a white background. We would need more of like a cell, table cell, which has text and also a background. All right. So if we had a bunch of those, then it uses our spacing between the cells to do that. And then in here, we could add some like padding within the text, but it's probably fine. I worry about the performance a little bit if we're going to instantiate like hundreds of these table cells that are complex objects, but could be fine. What we should probably do is give a little bit more padding here. Do the text centered this way. And then maybe we can give it a slight left pad. Wait, margins or pad? Yeah, that seems fine. So we just need to double check what happens here when the text overflows, because we don't necessarily want that now when we have long text in a cell. We would want the column to expand this way, or we would want the row to expand, which might not be that easy to do with our fixed grid layout group sizing. But we can do anything, so we will just do that. So here, overflow, scroll rect. Probably don't want the truncation, but we could. It does look nicer. We could do the ellipses, and then like if this table cell ends up being a prefab that we're instantiating, we could just like have clicking on it. You know what? We could click on it to show the full value, but I think what we actually want to do is let's just make it an input box. Input field. Let's see how that looks, because we can get rid of this guy. We'll want to get rid of like the padding and the styling around it. Remove that. Oh, right. We need source image, but we don't want the actual styling. But we do need the raycast target. So our input field will have a placeholder and also the text. So let's find our padding that's making it so low first. Somewhere. Maybe on the tech. Ooh, why is that so small? Okay, looking up. Let's, for both of these, we want them centered like this with the left pad that we had here. And so now, if our text is nice and long, wait, do we need to set it up here? Probably so. Okay, so our text is nice and long. The player can just like click into it and use their keyboard to scroll through and read it. This would also let us later on like save the cell back, which is kind of nice too. And still looks good, I would say. So when we get a full table of these, again, it's not the most performant thing with all these. We probably want to go through and do a little pass on what's active and not. But that'll probably do fine. So this will be our table. What we need to do now is we'll have the constraint of X amount of rows from the file, and we need to convert that into either what the width of each row is to fit in our window, or what our window width needs to be to fit that many rows. So like 6 times 140. What the heck is that? 840 width. So we could make this window 840 plus some padding and it would work. So let's just say 900 here, and then let's get this. Oh, there's no upper center. All right. Child alignment, upper center. Sure. So we'll add in a little bit of padding left and right, but that's fine. Let's also, where do we want to add that top padding? I guess up here. Or we'll just do it here. So a little bit of padding there, maybe just 10. And so when we read the file that we're trying to show this application for, we basically need to either just go in with a set width that we're always going to have columns for, or we could like read in all of the values in the file and determine what the width of each column would be based on the max width of the value in that column. But it gets a little bit weird unless we use monospace fonts, since like some letters are wider than others and we're working at like the pixel value versus characters. So I feel like the best approach is probably just to say like 160 is a good width for columns. They can scroll. We just need to look at how many columns are in the file we want to show and then resize the window accordingly. So I think we will do that. Let's open this because it's going to have, cool, load file contents. We'll use this as a template, but we're going to add spreadsheet, window manager, and we'll probably have errors on that because it'll be outside the assembly, I think, but we'll come back to that. Let's remove our text file. window manager, bring this guy up, and then start writing that. So we just need this guy. And so our logic is just going to become well, let's go look at an example CSV file. You know what? Let's just grab one from the game. I guess we probably want to, yeah, let's go back to the main scene. And also, yeah, we're gonna need to move this window manager up into our assembly so we have access to it. I forgot my Unity's borked. I can't drag and drop files right now. Let's just do it manually. So we got window managers, we've got scripts, assets, blah, blah, blah. This guy goes over into window managers. The most janky way to drag and drop in Unity. All right, we're good there. Oh, right, that's because we opened the wrong scene. Let's go back to the right scene, start screen. Let's load this up, and then let's go take a look at like any CSV file that we generate so we get the right format so we can know that we are constructing this application correctly. Probably want to redo this cutscene at some point too. The text is terrible when it's at 4K. Oh well. Alright, get this guy out of the way. Let's go find a CSV file. Lunch break schedule. Sure. So, oof. Oh no, okay. So this file probably started with CSV like that, and we stripped out the formatting. So we're going to tackle that in two ways. One, we will, if the first line starts with this, we'll just remove the full line. But two, let's also go back to our prompt and make sure we tell it not to do that. But can I copy this? I cannot. But what we can do is just take this as a screenshot somewhere, and then we can reference it because we don't necessarily need the code. We just want to see this format, how it's formatted. So yada yada yada. It's so wild moving things between monitors that have crazy resolutions. All right, that's our CSV file. It feels painful to screenshot like that, but it's fine. So we've got 4 columns, daytime, location, notes. Each of these lines should have 4 comma separated values. I'm a little concerned that it might generate a CSV file that is like has a comma in it. So like here, 1 value, 2 values, 3 values, and then this 4th one has a comma. So it's going to split. And we also have a random note at the end too. So that could be some issues, but we can work around it. Well, we have that CSV file. Let's first go look at the prompt for generating a file. File contents. Oh, right. Okay. Now is also a great time to go rewrite this since we recovered it and it is poorly formatted. So let's do that. And then we can also add in a little bit of extra, logic. Is that just because I opened it in a new window? No? Okay. All right. We'll just do it over here then. You are a text generation system designed to simulate and fabricate a fictional file system for a given employee's work computer at corp name. Sure. We've got our tokens with the curly braces because we swap in context to the LLM to let it know what the actual values are. You'll be given the full path to a file. Yeah, okay, this is the right prompt. On their simulated file system, and your task is to generate text that could reasonably be the contents of that file, taking into account their job title, personality, file path, and name, and other context. Let's also say file path and file name and file type, so it hones in a little bit more on the CSV pit. File contents should be believable for an employee to have on their computer, but also sometimes entertaining for a third party to read. Gossip, tea, personal notes, comments about coworkers, and remarks about their boss should be occasionally interspersed within business-like content. From our personal files, it's okay to go off on personal tangents and have less business content if it would make sense as the content for that file, employee, job title, and personality. It is okay for some files to be short and concise. Do we need that? I mean, I guess so, yeah. For structured files, such as CSV, you should ensure the structure is fully correct, is correct, syntactically correct. For example, comma separated lines that have commas in the value should have those values quoted. The file shouldn't start, end with CSV, etc. That's good start. We'll see if that works. And that's probably fine. Let's replace this so it's nice and formatted again. Bonk. Wait, I didn't hear the bonk sound. Also, hi Nojul. Welcome in. I just set up these audios. I did not hear the sound. Did you hear the sound? Because you heard it. Okay, perfect. Oh, you know what? I bet it only plays in Twitch, not in OBS. So I'll need to fix that so I can hear it. Because what's the point if I can't hear it? But hello. Welcome in. How's your day going? You are in a time zone where it is late for you, correct? But that should help. I'm actually not 100% certain how we're going to parse the CSV with quoted comma values, because I was just going to split on comma, and I guess that doesn't technically work. But we will solve that when we get to it. Yes, late. Well, I hope you've had a good day, and I hope it's ending well. Welcome in. Human was here a moment ago, but he is breaking his dishwasher on purpose. So I'm sure he'll be back. All right. Let's go see what we can do. We are right now adding in an application to our hacking game for viewing spreadsheets. One of the file types that we generate on employees' computers is spreadsheets. Right now they're just opening in like the notepad on the computer, so we're adding like a spreadsheet viewer so that people can go in and edit them or just see them in a better format. So spreadsheet viewer, we have a set amount of columns that we are going to pull from the file based on the first line. And then we need to resize this window to fit the columns with our set column width. So we will start on that. Is this for a game jam? No, this is actually, this was originally a web game that I and somebody else built a little over a year ago, and we are putting it on Steam. We've had people playing it on itch on and off for the last like year, so we're like, we might as well add it to Steam, see how it does. But we are just polishing it up right now and adding a few more features before we put it on because we're waiting for the build to pass on Steam anyway. How's the crafting game going? The crafting game is going good. We put out the demo and we got a bunch of people playing. We got a bunch of feedback and we're waiting to just like simmer on the feedback a little bit. We got a few more people that are going to play, like that we're going to watch play. But in general, it's going good. I'm a little bit kicking myself for like the new input system that we put in. Like when we first put it out, it was a click to move input system, which I really, really like. And every single person that played was like, I like this game, but I really want it to be WASD movement. And then we ported it over to WASD movement instead. And now I'm like, I mean, this kind of plays like every other game. So I need to like take some time to simmer on it as well and be like, how do we differentiate this movement scheme? How can we make it more fun? It's fine for like, we wanted to show off the crafting systems and the quests and everything, and it's a very standard way of interacting with the game, but I would love for every piece of the game to be a little bit more unique. So yeah, we're still gathering feedback on it. We're still simmering on like what do we want to do with the game. But in the meantime, I've jumped around and done a couple other games on stream. We built a typing game a couple weeks ago, which was pretty fun, like a speed typer type thing. We've been working on this game for a couple weeks just to get it ready for Steam. And I've got so many ideas for other games that I want to like hack away on. And I've been itching to do like a game jam again soon. So, just kind of taking a short break from, we were crunching pretty hard on the crafting game for a few months to get it like ready for release on time. And so it's fun to work on some smaller projects and play around with other technology. How is your game going, by the way? I don't think I've checked in on your stream anytime recently. I want to say, okay, you streamed recently. I haven't got any notifications that you're streaming any time recently, so I haven't seen anything. But looks like you're building something. How's that going? Spreadsheet window manager. Time to write some crazy logic. You stream not so often. Yeah, I mean, it always feels weird when I take a week off. And I only stream like once a week. So it becomes like, oh yeah, I haven't streamed in 2 weeks. And that's always weird to like jump back on. I look at like Human, who streams however many times a week. And I'm like, that's crazy. But taking a day off is probably not too disruptive to that. You're doing a lot of pixel art for the game right now. Okay. I like that. I'm a big fan of pixel art. The VOD that I just saw made it look like it was like isometric 3D. Is that the case? Are you doing like a 2.5 HD type pixel art in 3D type thing, or did I just misread the single frame of a video that I saw? Oh yes. Okay. No, that's awesome. I love that style. Like isometric pixel art, very very cool. I was a big fan of like Octopath Traveler, a couple others. I started playing, what's that other remake? I want to say like Life Story or something like that. Another very pretty game. I think I don't know if Patrick Duh is ever in your stream. He hasn't been in mine for a little while, but he was working on something very similar with just a really really cool art style in like the 2.5D. Um, yeah, I'll have to check out your game. I love that style. Alrighty, so we need some data. So we have, let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's put it there. The things that we need to pull out are the cell size. So public int cell size width, cell size height. We need a public grid layout group for this application window. We will have our file, which will give us the number of columns. We're gonna need a reference to this game object so we can set its width accordingly to match the width of the spreadsheet. So that's gonna be just a rect transform. For window rect transform. We're also going to need, we'll need a prefab of the cell for this table, but I feel like we probably shouldn't have that prefab on every single cell. Oh, well, I guess this is on the window itself. So we can just do a public game object cell prefab, yeah. Anything else we need? I think that is everything. Probably reference to our table so we know what parent to put our cells in. So public transform table container. And then we will basically split the file by line. And then, oh yeah, I guess clear the table container. Sure. We're going to iterate over each line. On the first line, that's going to be the column headers. So that'll define how many columns we will have in the table. And that's where we will resize it. So we'll say for, let's say, loop over each line, blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to use the for each because I want the branching for when I equals 0 for the cell headers. So I is less than lines.length. Let's remove this so far. If I is great or equal to 0, then we have our header row. And let's double check that format we saw. So yeah, just comma separated. They could generate as semicolon separated, I guess. Is that a separate file type? CSV with semicolon. Does that save as CSV or is it like, I know there's TSV for tab separated. I don't know if there is one for semicolons. I found a workaround to get semicolons in my comma separated file. You just save it and then you replace all the commas with semicolons. All right, we probably don't need to worry about that. All right, so here we want to also have a public void resize window for columns int num columns. That's where our beefy boy logic is going to be. Maybe that's true code, maybe not, but here is where we have our number of rows. So we can say resize our number of columns. Headers.length there. And then we will create the header cells. So for each one of these, we will instantiate a cell prefab and I guess make it bold. That makes sense. We probably, depending on if we get a really large file, we might want to like optimize this to store a reference to the actual, like write a script for a cell controller or something, and then just use that instead of using our git component in children. We probably will want that eventually for like callbacks when you change values on a cell. We want it to save back to the file. But for now, this is probably fine unless we start seeing some performance issues. But this will create those header cells, and then for every other line in the file, we are going to split the same way, and then for every value that we've split, we will do the exact same thing, but not make it bold. And close that. Let's double check this code down here. So the width of our window is the number of columns we have times the cell width. So we actually also want public int or float window x padding is like, I don't know, 10 pixels-ish. So let's add that in as well. Set the new width on our window rect transform is new width and our current y, okay. And then, yeah, we also want to update that grid layout component to have the number of rows so it'll wrap correctly. So like this guy, if we have 4 rows, it will do 4 times 140. So 280 plus 280, 560 plus 10 for our padding. So 570. And then it'll update our rows to 4. Well, that seems wildly wrong. Oh, right. This is the width of the cell, not the window. All right. So it'll take this guy and do 560 plus 10, so 570. 570. And then it will go to our table and update the rows to 4. So that looks pretty good. The first cells will be bold, and as long as every row has the same amount of cells, everything will work. We do have the issue here of how we're splitting, because that's not going to work for any value that has a comma in it. So this guy, that's a problem. Because we have, when we split it, value 1, value 2, value 3, and then the rest of it is value 4. I know CSV does some fancy things with, like, they don't always quote the value if it's the last value in the number of rows, because it's just implied like it's part of it, but normally you would quote this. So how do we want to do this? Like, it's all dummy data. Like, we could write a bunch of logic for if there's more than the number of columns values in a row, we need to see if we can combine them by like checking to see if any have start and end quotes. We could do like a greedy split of like grab on the first X amount of commas, and then once you have that, the rest of it is your final value. That's probably the easiest, but I worry that this isn't, like, it's not doing this just because it's the last value and that it will do it elsewhere. Like if this were the third value and then there was something afterwards. But maybe what we should do is, instead of looping over our count of values here for now, let's just loop over our header value count. So we can do like int num columns. We set that here, and we're hoisting it out here so it's still in scope through multiple iterations, of course. But then we can just do num columns here. We need to make sure that we're not out of bounds. Clamp to values bounds. So like if we have 4 columns, but the line itself only has 3 values, yeah, j would be 4, value would be 3. Then we break out instead of trying to do an empty cell. Although maybe we should just do an empty cell, I guess. That would make more sense. So if, yeah, let's just do that. We'll say we only set the text if j is less, within the values. We can just do this. Easy peas. Because otherwise we'll get a blank cell, which I think will look better versus just having blank spots. Okay. And that'll mean, like, if we do generate some bad data like this, it'll just have this as the 4th cell, and we'll poke around and see if that's actually the case. And this will just get dropped, which is probably fine for now. And then for like this last line, which is not valid CSV, if you were to open this like in Excel and it says like import this into Excel, it's going to send you through that flow of like creating the columns from these and so on. I'm pretty sure it would just put all of this in the first cell unless there was a comma in the line, in which case it gets split over multiple cells. So our current logic will also put this in just the first cell, I believe. So I think that makes sense. So I guess we can test this. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work first try. And we're just the greatest coder ever. Probably not, though. Are we missing anything? I feel like, I mean, yeah, there's more we could do, but it's probably fine. We've got resizing the window according to the number of columns, and we've got loading in the actual headers and also the values. So seems fine to me. We need to go set all those references. And I guess we probably also want this table in a scroll rect so that we can scroll down, because we don't want this to happen. So let's do that real fast. So scroll rects always trip me up, but pretty sure we can just throw one in here, or scroll view, sorry. Expand it to the whole size. We don't want any horizontal, well, can we set like a min or a max width or something on this maybe? Because if we do get a file with 20 columns, we probably don't want to resize the window to be 20 columns wide. We probably want a max width on the window. You know, we can just have both and set them to auto. And then we can clamp this guy to like public float max window width is, I don't know, 1,000. That's gonna be like a fourth of my screen, or like on a 1080p most of the screen, so it's probably fine. So here, clamp new width to our maximum. Cool, just if it's greater than that, we set it. And then that would set the window width to 1,000, but the actual grid would expand past that, which should trigger the horizontal scrolling in this. I think that's fine. And we'd also get a pretty big window for it. So that seems reasonable. I need to figure out how to, let's take our grid layout group, put it on our content window, paste component. Do we already have an image on this guy? We don't. I'm surprised we don't, because I feel like we would need some sort of like raycast target for the scroll view to even work. Maybe it's on the viewport though. Okay, so if we take these guys, put them in the content parent, and then expand out of the window, will it actually scroll? Probably. I mean, I guess we can just go find out. Let's remove this. Just go to our start screen. Not build. Let's play. Let's see what this scroll experience is like. Because I think it'll be open when we're on a computer, so we can just check it out. We might need like a content size fitter to get the content size to match the content of the grid height within it. But once we're in the scene, we can play with stuff and add components and see what we need in order for it to scroll. But I feel like scroll windows always trip me up, so yeah, like it bounces back because the content in the window isn't large enough. Like it thinks that it's just this size. Also, I'm realizing that scrolling in this is going to be pretty painful because they're all input fields. But we can play with this. So we have our draggable windows spreadsheet viewer. Let's look at scroll view. Wait, why do we have two? Did I just not delete that from the old template we used? Probably. So in the viewport, our content has this height. So yeah, it needs, you know, we could do the content size fitter, like, I mean, I hesitate to add it because it's going to modify the height in the view. So if we did preferred size, then we get the actual height, and now we can scroll correctly. However, we know the height of each cell, and we're already adjusting the width of the window. I feel like we should just, instead of using a content size fitter on the table container, we should just update the height of it there, as long as it doesn't have something else that's controlling the height. So here, cool, height is unlocked. So if we went over here and said, update the table container to have the correct height for scrolling, we can say grid layout group dot transform dot height dot set height dot transform. Wait, no. Dot. How do we get to this height? Oh right. Dot rect transform. Dot get component. Rect transform. Dot height. Suspicious. I know I can update the height from somewhere. It's gonna be like dot size. Alright, let's do this. Let's go up and add a separate reference here for public rect transform table container. Grab the transform off that for clearing the children, and then update the table container to have the correct height for scrolling. New height is our table container. We actually just want oh right, we're not passing in the number of rows here yet. We can do that though. We have, yeah, we got a number of lines here. So we can say int num rows. And then here we pass in lines dot length. So width and height. And then new height is gonna be num rows times cell size height. And I guess at this point we could add the padding. Yeah, let's just add it anyway. Window, Y padding, sure is another 10. And then our size delta is our current X with a new Y. I think that'll be way more performant than using a content size fitter, is if we just do the math and set the height ourselves. Human has returned. You hope it's fixed now? Did you load up a load and you're doing some dishes now? I hope it's fixed too. What'd you end up doing? Also, welcome back. Alrighty, so this should update the height, and therefore scrolling should work. We don't need to clamp a max height because it's in a scroll rect, so even infinite height should be fine because we can scroll. Width, since we're in a, I mean, I guess the width is going to stay the same. It's also in a scroll rect, so all good. You'd think the filter was too nasty, so we made a deep clean of everything. You know, I went in to clean my dishwasher filter a couple weeks ago after we've lived here for about a year, or not doxing myself, other things. And I'm pretty sure we have a dishwasher without like a filter that you can take out, which is very weird to me. I don't necessarily believe it because I'm like, probably need to clean this filter, but I cannot find it. So I'm a little suspicious. So maybe I'll go back in, but I've looked all around, like I could take it apart potentially to get to the filter inside, but sure seems like there should be a more accessible filter. Also, welcome back. Cool. All right, in that case, that will update this height. This should be fine. We want to not have it scroll like that for sure. So if we uncheck horizontal scrolling, that'll do. I think we want this to be our branch for whether there'll be horizontal scrolling or not. Because if it's under the maximum width, we don't need horizontal scrolling. If it is above the maximum width and we clamp our window size, then we do want horizontal scrolling. So let's do that. Is it an Apple dishwasher? It is not. I'm renting. My landlord put in some fancy things at one point, and either they are very weird or they are like fancy enough that I don't know how to use them. But like our laundry machine just beeps randomly sometimes, and like I looked at the manual for it and it's like beeping in binary to give you a code to like say what's wrong, but I don't speak Morse code. So things are broken. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had something where like you just need to hire someone to replace the filter or something. We shall see. Let's see. We have grid layout group. Cool. We have that reference. So if we are clamped, we need to enable the horizontal scrolling. Will it tell me how to do that? Broadcast message. I don't know about that. Grid layout group. Update horizontal scrolling from script. Because it's this flag right here that we need to update. Oh, it's on the scroll rect. Oh, right. So we actually want public scroll rect, table scroll rect. So many references to everything. But here, now we can say horizontal is false. Right, true. And then here, disable the horizontal scrolling because we're not going to take up more space than we have. Maybe you should also beep, boop, bop a bit. It just wants someone to talk to, you know? I usually just immediately unplug it to shut it up because it'll beep for hours until you unplug it. So maybe I'll give it a little beep, boop, bop next time and see if it just needs a friend. Alright, I think this will now work. Let's see. Don't let the window get wider than our max. Cool. Let's update the references. I think this will work though. I really wish. I mean, we can make all these like disabled to make scrolling a little bit easier. I guess we have scroll bar scrolling. Let's figure out what value we need on that real fast. Because scroll sensitivity is always so bad. Is 30 reasonable? Yeah, that seems fine. And then we probably want clamped because it's a spreadsheet. We don't want it being all fancy. Otherwise we get this weird elastic view, which I don't think makes a lot of sense for a spreadsheet. Clamped. Alright, so 30 and clamped is what we'll update. Let's go do those changes again. 30, clamped, and then I think we're finally ready to set some of these references. So we have our table container. We do have a second scroll view from the old version. So let's get rid of that. Let's see, table container, you are good. Table scroll rect, gotcha. Window rect transform. Grid layout group, that's gonna be you. And cell prefab, which we still need to build. Let's throw them in here. We don't need a script on it or anything right now, but let's go ahead and disable this input for now, just to make scrolling a little bit easier since there's no reason to be editing it yet. Let's make it non-interactable. So we bring in this prefab now, and Everything's gonna work on the first try, I promise. Let's go back to our start screen. We cross our fingers. We'll go find a CSV file. Oh, right. One last thing we need to do. In our open file method, we right now just open CSV files with the where do we create it? With our text, like notepad. So we need to actually branch and do, instead of the text file window manager, we'll do the new spreadsheet window manager. So we get to duplicate some code a little bit for now because we don't have a good flow for this quite yet. Still figuring out the pattern for all of this, but all of these files seem fine. CSV specifically, we need our branches for if file.fileContents is empty. Then we're going to generate the file contents, and then we call ourselves again to show it for the next time when file contents is not empty. Then we're going to show with this effectively. But we put it on the game manager is where we need to set our new prefab window. Prefab spreadsheet file preview window. So we will use that. We will stick it in our draggable windows parent. Set it somewhere random on the screen, show it, and then screenshot or slideshow. What the heck is that? Spreadsheet, right? And then we'll hit it with a .load file contents, file.file contents, and spreadsheet viewer. What is this? Oh, we just passed in the file. Right. Okay, so that will handle showing our file when we've built the content. Maybe we should think about how to restructure this beast next. But basically, generating the file is going to be exactly like generating a text file because that's exactly what it does. So we will copy that for now. And then that's probably a great thing to clean up after this once we get it working. Man, I didn't get anything done today for my game. Where is my time? You know, it slips away. You gotta carve it out. But some days ain't nothing you can do, but it'll even out in the end. I'm sure you'll get a lot done. Also, shout out to Irregular Human's train, which I saw on stream yesterday. It's looking so good. Modeling a train for his horror game. I bet if y'all catch his next stream, you can see that beautiful train. And he will feel less bad about doing nothing at all for his game today. Train feels honored. I'm also looking forward to the Thomas the Tank mod for your train eventually. Cannot wait for you to model that one. Alrighty, so this might all just work now because when we open a CSV file now, it's going to do the exact same generation that we were doing for a text file, which we know works. But then when it's updated and we have the file contents in the file, we will instead use our spreadsheet window manager and load those contents with our code that is beautiful and zero bugs, bug-free, probably. So the last thing to do is just to update that game manager with our new window. Spreadsheet viewer. Perfect. Now we test it. You continue working on that in tomorrow's stream. Hell yeah. I think I should be around for most of tomorrow, so I'll try and check it out. Bugs are blah though. Agreed. I guess we could also update the text scaling in this next, because it should be looking more like this, just scaled up to 4K. I don't think we scale the canvas, which we should be doing versus whatever it is we're doing currently. So either we'll do that or we'll clean up code next. Right. Right. We updated the interactable flag on the prefab, but these are not prefabs. This is just our test application that we built. So if we were to find a CSV file, it should generate the window for like the full window using all of our code versus the static thing that we built. We're going to find out who Alice's office crush is. It's going to be terrible. I think we're still on the okay, it's better. We updated our image model that we're using. In that loading image you have, there is a screen on a desk facing to the wrong direction. I see that every time you start the game. Oh no, I have not seen that. I'm gonna have to scope it out and fix it. I'll keep an eye out for it next time. Let's see. We gotta find a CSV file. We're getting distracted. Let's see. Alice selfie. We're getting more distracted. But this is her crush, apparently. I can see why she likes him. Still a little bit of work on the image generation. Alright. Surely, like, diagnostics has logs. Are we going to have to hack someone else to find a CSV? Potentially. Oh, there we go. Report September. All right. Will this work? Maybe. Looks like a mugshot on the right. Yeah, it wasn't the worst. I mean, it was much worse last week, so it's definitely an improvement. So our width is definitely wrong. But if we update our width manually, maybe we can check to see what else is wrong. So this guy has a width of 10, which tells me that the multiplication that we did on the width here, one of these was 0. I'm going to guess it's num columns. Probably because it stripped the backtick CSV, left the new line, and then it counted that as the first line, which has 0 columns. That's what I'm going to guess. But let's update this to like 500 width. Okay, maybe everything's broken. Do we update the text? We do. In both cases. But we should probably get rid of this default new text. Let's go ahead and... That was our only CSV file, so let's attach to this. Let's set a breakpoint here so we can trace through. Let's go ahead and remove this default text. New text. So we get our nice blank ones, which is what we expected. Mugshots look sexy AF though. Wish I had one. I hear they're really easy to get, Human. If you really, really want one, I'm sure that you could get one. I would be happy to share it if you had one. You could just stream and share it with everyone. You don't do those in Germany. You don't do mugshots? Really? That's interesting. I feel like they probably stem back from when you look at Western movies, they've got those like wanted signs before we had computers to like track who was who, the only way you would know that like that guy's a bad guy is how he looks. I think that's where mugshots came from, is just like a way to track people before they had computers to do so. So I'd be curious if Germany has like a better way of knowing, like, to use fingerprints on everything. I don't know. But I feel like there has to be some sort of replacement if you don't do mugshots. What was I doing? Right, we have a breakpoint here. We know that this is going to be wrong. Let's make sure our max width isn't set to like 10. Okay. Cell size width. Oh, right. We never grabbed those. Yeah. So on start, void awake, I guess, we want to update our cell size width to our grid layout group dot cell size dot height dot y. Can we do that? Are they floats? What is this? Float to int? Sure, we can do this. Because we need to grab these off of the actual configuration that we've built. So that explains why one of our factors was 0, and hopefully that'll just fix our bug. Is blah 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 cell size dot x. Cool, forgot to do that. But that probably means we can go in and just test it and not have to like trace through. We do that too, but they're not made publicly available like they do that in the US. Yeah, it's wild that they're public in the US, honestly. They do, I think they showed me when I went to a station on an open door day. No Jewel has a mugshot confirmed. I believe it. Yeah, I mean, if they're like used for the police and like you might see them, like they don't necessarily need to be private. It's just wild that like in America, as soon as you get a mugshot, it's posted on like that police station's public website of like, this is who we arrested today. You only have awkward speed camera photos. You gotta speed harder. Get the real mugshot. All right, we'll close this. We find a new CSV file. What do we got? Accounting. Full of CSVs. Perfect. Let's check out some invoices from July. What thrilling content. All right, so here, yes. We still need to fix this because this is what our file generated as. And we're stripping the backticks, which leaves CSV on the front. Which means when we try and parse the first line for our headers, we're parsing the remaining CSV versus this. So quickly, what we want to do instead is, if the file content starts with that, we just want to chomp the whole line. Substring of right after the first new line plus 1, which will be after the new line. That might have some white space, but we trim it later. And then we don't have this problem at the end because there's no like CSV like that on the end. It's just in the start. So this will handle like CSV, Markdown, I don't know, C#, whatever we want. JSON will be a big one. So it'll just say like, if that first line starts with this, we chop off the entire first line, which is what we want. So let's breakpoint back up. We'll go back in. We see if it works. I still didn't see the flip monitor. I forgot about it, but I'm gonna look for it this time. All right, where is this at? It's this one. I mean, it, wait. Yeah, I guess these ones as well. On the first one, I was like, maybe one guy has 3 monitors and one's just further back. But I mean, even here, it's a little bit. Yeah, they're kind of everywhere. So I should go in and fix some of these. I mean, I can just recolor the back to be the monitor color. Like it's way easier to add in the back than the front. At least there's none that are facing or should be facing you as the camera but aren't, because then you'd need to add in the screen. All right, we'll also remove that spreadsheet that we have. All right, what do we got now? Reports. Perfect. Budget analysis. It'll probably generate with that CSV prefix, which it did. Let's check out our file contents. So it now has CSV. We're going to chop off the first line. So if we step through and now see it, looks like this, which is what we want. So our first line will actually be our headers. We still need to chop off that end line. So we step through again. And now this is just our raw CSV. If the model, like if this model or a future model generates without this formatting, which is what we want, it'll still just be fine because it's only stripping this off if it exists. So things look good there. So now let's check our width calculation, which looks correct now. It's not 0 at least. 4 columns at 140 pixels each with a little bit of padding. We're going to be within our max width, so there will be no horizontal scrolling. Update the size of the window, blah, blah, blah. And we also set the height. So why does everything say new text? Okay. Pretty sure I did delete that. Oh, I bet I didn't delete it out of the prefab, did I? Let's just close this and reopen it. Just check our values array. Make sure we have values, I guess. So office supplies, what's our J at 0? So this should be setting the text component.text. Oh, you know what? I bet this is, yeah, the placeholder, because it's just finding it in the children, and this is a TextMesh Pro input instead of a TextMesh Pro label. So it has 2 of these. So we'll just write a quick script to fix that. We actually, I mean, they don't really need a placeholder. We can just delete that from the prefab. And then it'll find this. Also, yeah, I guess I didn't delete that, but a little odd that everything is height 0, I guess. Sure. Before I forget, let's go kill this. We go back to the start screen, we play, let's check it out. I think that should now update the right TextMesh Pro, so it should have the actual value in it. Yeah, and now I'm checking all the monitors to make sure that the ones facing the camera have a screen. All right, for all the marbles, does this work? I also want to see what like format log files are using, but okay. I mean, we could do like some sort of viewer for these too, but I think they're fine in a text file. What have we got? Monthly sales reports. Will this be a spreadsheet? We'll never know. What? Okay. New text, huh? Table cell. How many times am I gonna delete this? Was I in play mode when I deleted it before? We don't have any console errors. I go back. It's back. Excuse me? Right, because it's, yep, the underlying thing that the input field controls. Right. We were deleting it from the wrong place. So actually, we probably want to update the input field here. TMP pro.input field. Makes sense. I don't know the difference between read-only and non-interactable, but yes, I was looking for the font style. Okay, so let's update this as well. So we're actually updating an input field, not the input component itself. That makes sense. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, maybe we'll do this canvas scaling next, just to make it look a little nicer on bigger screens. All right, for all of the marbles again. CSV, report to Bob. Seems odd to be in a CSV, but sure. Okay. So this is progress. I feel like updating the width of the window isn't working. So let's go look at that. Our window has a width of 570, which is this times 4 plus 10, right? Yes. And isn't... If we change this, does it get wider? It does. So is our grid actually 140 width? It is. So why does this math not math? Or I guess it does. We're just truncating off the end. I guess we're also... I think the... Yeah, that's what it is we need to make them interactable again so we can click in them. So that we can read the full amount, or the full text. But, I mean, I guess each of these columns is the same width. So that is technically correct. And I guess with a grid layout group, it's probably going to be really hard to have different columns have different widths because it just uses the cell width. So we could build our own grid layout group, but it's probably fine. Let's just make these interactable. Let's add a little bit more padding so it's obvious that these are the left and right bounds. Let's delete all these. Let's go to here and X padding. Let's just double it to 20 so they see a little bit more of the black on the sides and it's obvious that those are the boundaries versus like trying to scroll horizontally. Let's see how this looks. And then we'll poke around with a couple different files, hopefully, that'll have different numbers of columns so we can see different window widths as well. I feel so dehydrated today. Need to just I know I have a hydrate redeem, but that's not what I'm fishing for. Just very dehydrated. Alrighty, file browser. What have we got? Checklist for today. Should have probably like a couple columns maybe. Okay, so now we have our headers again, which is nice, but we can click in here. I mean, I'm kind of feeling like we might need our widths on columns to just default way wider, since we're getting columns that have lots of content like this. But we can at least read them now. We can technically change them, but it doesn't do anything yet. What we'll probably end up doing is just like a callback on each cell. When it changes, we can basically take the contents of all the cells and concatenate them back into like separating these rows with a comma and then joining all the rows with new lines. So we build that CSV file back. We can write it back to memory. We can overwrite it and like let people edit the files that way. But I think we're going to want maybe columns that are like twice this wide. But let's poke around and see if we can get another CSV with more columns. Okay, so here's a good one that has a lot. And if this column were twice as wide, it'd be pretty darn wide, but it's probably fine. No horizontal scroll, which we have the left padding on the text. We should also add right padding so it doesn't go up like this. That's what makes me think it should be scrolling. So we'll change that. Right padding on the text. We will double the width of the columns. And let's see if there's maybe one other CSV to check out. Why am I here? Right. Candy rating chart. Sure. Sometimes I wonder if Cubicorp even knows I exist. Like maybe Bob. My boss Bob, not Bob Dale. I wonder if they get confused too. Just rating a bunch of candy. Sure. Yeah, and I mean, like, we could make a proper spreadsheet app in this where, like, you could resize the columns. You could click the column headers to, like, resort. I don't think we need to do all that for here. The simple interface seems fine, but can definitely improve a little bit. So that seems fine. Let's go make those changes. We have table cells need left and right padding on the text. So they align and don't look like they're running past the padding that we've made with the cell layout. We were going to double the width of the columns, which is set on our actual table. Although I guess we could set it like, might be nice to standardize everything here and write it instead of read it. Let's do that. But we'll have 140 and 20 as our base. So 140, 280 and 20. And then let's go ahead and swap that around. So instead of reading it from the grid layout group, we're going to go ahead and say, well, we probably want to do that actually at load file contents then. So that'll be grid layout group dot cell size. Perfect. All right, so now we can just keep that single source of truth, put everything in here. We don't need to have some data here, some data over in the table. So it'll get written here. So we should even give these ridiculous values so it's obvious when they are not written. So that'll double that. Was there something else we were going to do? I think that was it. Doubling the width and adding the padding. There's stuff we could do, but we're probably fine. Let's browse around a few more CSVs and then we'll move on to something else. All right, we still wanted to clean up some of the code in our open file flow too. All right, Alice, what you got this time? Financial reports sandbox, budget analysis trial. Okay. This is not correct, I would say. But why? Oh, we're probably getting the max width. Yeah, that'll be about 1,000. So we should have horizontal scroll here, and we don't. And it's because, I see, we have this code here to manually compute the height to make vertical scrolling work. We also need to manually compute the width to make horizontal scrolling work. So let's do that up here. So that should work. I mean, I feel like that should work. We edit the X here and the Y here, so we could also stick the X and the Y in some value up here, because, I mean, in some game engines, when you edit something that is visually drawn, the changes aren't applied until the end of the frame. So the fact that we are rereading the X here, I'm a little worried that we're updating it here, but the changes aren't applied until the end of the frame, and it would get overridden here. It's probably not the case in Unity, because I feel like Unity doesn't really have that sort of gotchas, but you know what, we will say vector to new window size is equal to new vector to table container dot size delta. You know what, we can actually just do this. And then here we will say new window size dot width dot x is that. Here we'll say new window size.y is that, and then we will update the table container size here, which will do it in one pass. So even if it is like trying to like redraw the table layout or something every time it changes, we'll at least do it once here instead of twice. You have returneth. You feel so weird when you have freshly cut fingernails. Do you not often have freshly cut fingernails? I feel like I feel weird when my nails get too long. That's when I know I gotta trim them down. Once a week and you hate it. Wow. You do it yourself, right? You don't like go somewhere to have it done? Have you tried doing things that you don't hate? What do you hate about it? Like the trimming. All right, let's try this again. I think we'll have horizontal scrolling working now, and therefore things should look better. Although 280 was probably pretty wide. Let's cut it down to like 250 and check it out this time. I'm gonna have to do a whole stream of redoing this image. Although I guess at this point I could just generate a new image. This is like years ago image generation quality. Alrighty. Do CSVs look good? Oh, passwords. Great. Hi, future Alice. Remember this time. No losing this. Passwords, passwords, passwords. Perfect. Favorite coffee spots. What do we got there? Notes from Bob is a CSV. This is Alice's favorite coffee spot. Wow. All right, that's the only CSV she's got on her computer. Wow. I feel like my nails are thicker than usual nails. When I trim them, it's like I have a wider cut area. Interesting. The thing that I don't like about cutting my nails is I feel like my nails are a little more like when you look at them like this, they're curved like this more. And I feel like the nail clippers flattens them out, which hurts a little bit. So I, fun fact, bite my nails a lot, but gotta keep them nice and trimmed. But using nail clippers definitely like feels weird because it flattens them out. All right, this spreadsheet is looking a lot better, I would say. I feel like, yeah, I guess the right padding doesn't work because the text actually, it pads at the end of the text. It would need to be padding on the cell itself. But wait, why is... Oh, I guess she literally just... I bet these were lines that she had a comma here. I see. That's fine. Okay. Well, I think the CSVs look just fine. We should hack someone real fast so we get another sample because we don't have any that have really like wide horizontal scrolling yet. So let's rename this report. say sending over that report for you to run now. I totally forgot that we could rename files, so this is way easier now. We're gonna have to make people a little bit more cognizant of computer security. All right, Carol, do you have CSVs? Report. Birthday reminders. All right. Sure. Expense report. What else we got? Secrets. Carol's dream party plan. Is it her birthday soon, I guess? Financials. All right, we got more to work through, but we do have horizontal scrolling. Well, that seems wrong. Why do we have so much padding here? We are going to take a quick bathroom break, and then we will come back and find out. I will be right back. Let's scarf down a cheese stick real fast. Snack break too. In return for waiting, here is Dimitri. Say hello. Cheese stick and cat. our stream is off the heezy right now. We probably got Lucy around here somewhere too, but Dimitri almost always sleeps in my lap through the whole stream. He's always so upset when I get up. So he's a star. Cheese stick cat cute triple C. We got it all here. All right, so we need to figure out why when we're past the max width of the window, the spreadsheet is generating way wider. So our table has a width of nobody knows. Oh, right. This isn't even our active window. Let's check it out. So our width is 1,000. So we hit the max on the width. The table has a width of like 2,400 because it's positioned so far offset. If we were to clean those out, this is more reasonable. I wonder if it's just, do we have an offset here for some reason? No. Okay. So are we positioning it manually? Maybe we technically are when we update its width manually, because it needs to like redraw on the screen, probably at a different position. But we know that the issue is table containers offset. So if we stretch it like this, that would probably be fine. That might do it. Spreadsheet viewer, table container. Right. I mean, I guess it'll have its height and width updated from the code potentially. And in the code, we don't change its position at all, just the size. And it's specifically the position of the table container we're concerned with, not the window position or size. I feel like the updated anchor might just fix it. So we'll find out. Also, I'm sorry I lied. I had one bite left of the cheese stick, but I didn't want to make everyone wait forever. So while we're waiting for the cutscene. I'll mute. Alrighty, let's see what we can find. Any CSV at all? I guess specifically we need one that has a lot of columns like this, so that did not fix it. is that bad though. We could just anchor the content to the top left and have a lot of padding scrolling to the right. I feel like that would probably be fine. Let's see. Start axis, child alignment, upper center. We'd probably want like upper left. Does that work? Right, that we'd need it on the actual window. So, is this weird? We have a lot of padding to the right. But I mean, just looks like a little buggy. It's not necessarily like wrong or what the heck is this? You're not doing the Wednesdays gaming streams anymore, right? How about an additional dev stream day? You know, I think that is a possibility. I would love to get back to another game stream day though. There's a lot of games I want to play and I'm kind of slammed with meetings these days. So it makes it hard to like commit a whole day to stream. But I feel like all the meetings and things that I'm doing now will probably be resolving in the next couple weeks. So maybe I'll have a lot more time after that. Would be cool to either do another dev stream day or get back to another game stream day. Why do I have so many meetings? Because I'm running a company. You know, gotta always be grinding. Gotta talk to people, gotta, you know, get the monies. So we'll get through it. We'll get back to the fun game stuff, the fun dev stuff. It'll all be good. But my question is, why do we have almost perfectly double the width that we want? It's only when we exceed past the max width, because our small spreadsheet doesn't do it. Right, that's the same one. Excel shortcuts. Surely that's not a wide one. Yeah, seems fine. So this doesn't have the width problem. Maybe because we're not changing the width. What do we default this from? Size delta. Size relative to the distances between the anchors. That's what we're updating. Is it because we're also changing the width of the window? Like before we actually update the width of the window, we're calculating the distance between the anchors, which might be a lot smaller when our window is smaller. Maybe we move this up just to be sure. You know, I'll bring it all the way up. This is called new window size. It's actually new table container size, just so we don't mix that up with our window size here. We update X here, Y here. So in both cases we update Y, and in both cases they're right. But only in the extra wide case do we update X, and that's the only time it's wrong. And we don't even use the window width, I guess, because our calculation is just num columns times cell size width. So I guess we can attach here and see some values, because this one is correct. All right, we think we need to rebuild to hit this anchor point. Oh, right, because we updated some code. All right, we'll do that. But we'll just go inspect what the coefficients are so we know how big the number actually is supposed to be. Let's attach. Jump on in again. Yeah, Human, I've been itching to stream more Minecraft soon, so maybe that'll be a game to get back to. Or, you know, like there's always RimWorld, Terraria, Baldur's Gate, Kenshi. Could try Skyrim again. The new remaster just came out. I never really played Skyrim. Lots of stuff fun to play. Alrighty, so now on CSVs, we should have some insight into how those sizes are being calculated. Yes, I do mean Oblivion. I didn't really play the original Skyrim either, but I know Oblivion just got remastered, so everyone's losing their mind over it. So that'd be fun to try out. Do I play Minecraft with mods? Yes, very, very often. I rarely play without mods, actually, except when I'm like playing on a shared server with people. I am a huge fan of just layering in tons and tons of mods. And I just stumbled on the... Oh, what was that mod called? Basically a mod that adds like all the Terraria content. Oh boy, don't mind all this. I'm just going to move it over here so I don't accidentally leave IP addresses or something on screen. Let's see, what mod is this? Confluence Otherworld. That's one I am about to play through, so I'm like, I could do that on stream. This window is huge. Yes, especially like also RimWorld and Terraria are amazing with mods as well. All right, let's see our table width. 1020, which is technically wider than our new width. Why is that the case? Why? These are the same. Oh, right, because we've already clamped our new width. I see. That's why our table is slightly wider than our window on... this would be on the wide table. Huh. Someone today tried to explain to me that Bethesda wow, am I having a stroke? Essentially, yes, moved Oblivion into Unreal Engine, and they simply slap new textures to everything. That apparently is the reason why the remaster version has the exact same bugs as the original. Huh. I'm not sure. How did that explanation go? That sounds wild. I can't imagine just, moving one game into another engine and it just working. You played Minecraft only with shader mods. Yeah. I mean, I have a few Minecraft mods that I really, really like playing with that I add to like everything. Like I'm really bad at navigating back to my base, so I never end up leaving my base for long distances. So I have a map mod that reveals as I explore the world, which is nice. A mini map mod just for my own sanity. And there's a couple other content ones, like Waystones is a really good one where it'll generate like random waystones throughout the world, and you can teleport between them, or between the ones that you've discovered. So it makes it really nice for like traveling long distances. A big problem that I have with Minecraft is like once you establish a base, there's a perimeter that you usually don't go out of because it's such a long distance there and back. So waystones are really nice that you can just like go as far as you want in a direction and always teleport back. And then once you've dropped everything off, you teleport back to where you were and keep exploring and so on. It was someone who was working for a game publisher, so it can't be complete bullcrap, but I don't know any details. Interesting. Yeah, I would love to hear how they did it, because I feel like the original Skyrim was in like a bespoke engine. Like, yeah, the creation engine is their, like, Bethesda's engine. So moving it to Unreal, I mean, it sounds wild because this was released 2011, even if it was, like forked from the original Unreal or like based on Unreal originally. They've probably diverged quite a lot. So they have to have built like some sort of, like, I guess if I were them as a studio and this engine were getting pretty rough to work with, they could build some sort of like porting tool that maps everything in this engine to another, like a new engine that they're moving to. So I guess they could do that with Unreal. That'd be wild. You again mixed up Skyrim and Oblivion. Oh, I mixed it up. Yeah, I will forever mix it up. In my head, Oblivion is Skyrim, and Skyrim is like that game that came out before Oblivion. I didn't really play either, and I know everyone loves Skyrim for what it was, but I feel like the one that everyone loves now is Oblivion. I might be wrong in that one, but could be just me being unoblivious to Oblivion versus Skyrim. Let's see this again. Okay, so we have our width is twice as much again. All right, there's some weird stuff going on as well, but this is fine. We can now reopen this and trace through and see what's going on. Lunch order. So the width of our window will be set to 1020. Size delta, interesting. Our size delta is vector 0, not the actual dimensions of the table, which is what I thought it would be. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as long as we're not reading it out. We're just setting it. Huh. Or maybe it actually is size 0, 0 right now, because this size delta is at least has values. Alright. So we're going to the wide width version. We probably want to clamp both the table and the window to our max width. So instead of making changes here, which will basically update our assembly and not let us trace around, I'll write a little to-do list over there. But we update our window, we allow horizontal scrolling, and then we're calculating our table width, which is 1020. So we update the new table container size width. Wait, that's... I mean, yeah, okay. So X is just how we're storing width in our vector 2. It's not the actual property that we're modifying. Okay. So we update our columns. Sure. I wonder if that updates the width of the grid layout. We should probably do that first. But then again, I guess we're not reading the width out, so it doesn't really matter. What's our height look like? 150 for how many rows? 7? Yeah, I guess it's 20 pixels plus 10 of padding to get 150. And so here we're updating our size delta. I want to make sure that that does what I think it does. Because it doesn't seem like it's just the size of this rect transform, which is odd. Is there a size or like dimensions or... Right. That's not helpful. The size delta is how much bigger or smaller the rectangle is compared to the parent. Okay. So the parent of our table is the scroll viewport, which isn't being updated based on the window size. I mean, it is actually because it expands to the window. We might not even need to update the table container at all, or the table container size, if we have it expand to fill. But how's that going to work with the wider version? I mean, I guess it'll just expand when we change the column count. I'm curious. Let's remove this out. And let's see if it actually just works. But no, it's not going to work because we needed that for scrolling. Never mind. All right. So let's go ahead and add these in real fast. Let's say and I don't think we have a max height. Right. We don't. Okay, so that'll clamp the table, and also let's rename new width to new window width. With our current Y. Which will probably be 0, I would assume, because it's relative to the parent. I want to see that, though. And then let's also update these grid columns first. I don't think it's going to matter, but it'll be nice to not have to worry about. Let's see. Maybe we shouldn't update the width of the window until We're also updating the table size. Is there a reason we moved this up here? Do we read that? No. Is it because of this? Because it's... Let's make sure that this is stretched, yes. So it's going to have a size delta relative to this, which is also stretched, which will stretch into this, which is stretching into this, which is modified by the table dimension, or the window dimensions. So I think that's fine. Lucy is sleeping below me, and I think she hiccuped or something. I thought she was throwing up. I had to check. She's doing great. Okay. So I want to trace through now. I want to see what this size delta is on our window, because we know the window has dimensions. The table should also have dimensions, but it was 0, 0 when we checked before. So I just want to poke through those values again. Alrighty, let's see what we get. The last 10% is always the hardest. Expense reports and Cubicorp budget. Either one of those will be fine. Let's continue on through this one, and then 5 columns should be wide enough to go past the threshold, so we should get a wide one here. Right, I wanted to check that before we wrote to it. So let's close these. Cubicorp budget is the one we'll look at, but either of them have the issue. So let's go here. What is your size delta? Okay. So it does have values, but if we look at our size delta of the table container, it's 0, 0. Because it's hard to tell if it's supposed to be like a size or if it's a relative size. What have you got in here? I mean, we can grab the rect height and width, and then probably update those directly down here. Unity update rect dimensions versus size delta. Yeah, what is size delta? Is that my problem? Is I'm just not knowing what it is? When anchors are the same, it shows a real size. But if it's not, it shows 0, 0, I bet. If the anchors are together, size delta is the same as size. If the anchors are in each of the 4 corners of the parent, the size delta is how much bigger or smaller the rectangle is compared to its parent. So I don't think that's what we want to edit. We want to edit rect.size instead, I bet. Okay. No one actually knows what the heck size delta is, right? And what? Alright. If you made a search and end up here for an explanation of what size delta means, then clear your mind. Visualize a small panel resting on top of a big canvas. its parent object. In the panel's rect transform component, there are two rectangles. A, the rectangle is defined by its anchors, those triangles. Normally to the parent object and locations. Okay, so it stretches. That's what we have in the scroll rect. And the other rectangle is defined by its own size, so like a window, which is why the window has a size. Size delta is... Oh. Okay. Okay, Joseph, I'm going to catch some Z's now. I can barely keep my eyes open. Have a great rest of your stream, man. See you next time. Yeah, it was good having you here. Thanks again for popping in. Good to see you as always. I will see you on your next stream. Have a good sleep. And hope the dishwasher's working now. All right, let's update the size instead, because we don't want the size delta. We want table container.rect.size. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. And here we want rect.size. Can we set that? We cannot. It's probably not writable. What you complaining about? Cannot modify the return value of rect because it's not a variable. Sure. Table container dot rect dot update size dot size, which returns a vector 2. Okay. Set. Sounds reasonable. We could pass x, y, width, and height. Let's try that. But maybe we just... Ah, yes. Right. This is 100% incorrect and should not be used. So only work in the random situation where your anchors are all at a single point, and that's not what we have. It will fail in most situations. Setting size should only be done using set size with current anchors. Okay, let's go look at that. As of 2019, there's also a minor bug. Sure, it's probably fixed by now. Axis and size. Now what the heck is the axis? Do we still have this? We just have set. What is this? Unity 6.1 on a rect transform. Is this not a rect transform? Why is my IntelliSense not? Oh, it's a rect, not a rect transform. Okay. Get component rect transform dot size. Set size with current anchors. Okay, we'll do that, and also that. That seems wildly inefficient to require developers to update it that way, so I'm suspicious that that'll actually work. Let's just update this. So we're only grabbing it once per cell. Or I guess this is once per window show. But I want to see if this works, because I'm surprised that that would be the solution. So I'm going to be extra surprised if it actually works. But hopefully it does. Prodigy. You always know this is that band before, without even needing to know the song. They all sound, they have a similar vibe. Alrighty, CSV Wonderland, here we come. Just give us one good wide CSV. Okay, that looks promising. 5 columns. I think that was what we needed. 2 columns. This one's pretty wide. Not wide enough. Or is it? Looks good though. I mean, I guess, yeah, I think that was wide enough to be the issue and trigger it, but let's double check. Which one was that? We got this guy. He's not the widest. We have this one. So let's double check that it goes through. Oh, we weren't attached. We want to make sure it goes through this flow. So we hit this one. We continue on. It does go through. Okay. I believe that we have fixed the issue by doing this instead, apparently. Wow. Okay. Huh. Well, now spreadsheets will show if they do get especially wide, they will have a horizontal scroll, but it looks like they can support like 6 columns before they start scrolling, maybe 7. Yeah, and this probably has scrolling enabled because it goes through the wide path, but it doesn't actually need to scroll because the content isn't that wide. So yeah, horizontal scrolling is enabled if we wanted our cell size they're still listed as 20. Oh, right, because you're editing the prefab. So this guy, spreadsheet viewer, we've got our scroll view. It has horizontal scrolling enabled. We have our table container, which has what I would assume is the wrong width. But it fits. But as it would get wider, then we would be able to scroll. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to generate a bunch of very specific CSV files off stream. I want to be able to test it with like 1, 2, 3, etc. columns. Like 10 columns would be great. I'll make some test files. I want to go through and like make sure this code is doing all the right things, handling all the edge cases. But I think I'll call the stream here. It's been very fun. I am very hungry. I got my cheese stick, but I'm ready to eat some more. And need to go refill water, chug in. And hey, it's Devin Bites. You've been working a bit, but hope the hacking game is going well. It is going well. Thanks for saying hi. I'm wrapping it up now, but I think by this time next week, this game will be on Steam. I'm just kind of fixing bugs and adding some features, but I'm excited to put it out there finally. Have a good evening, man. Enjoyed having you on my second monitor. Great to be on your second monitor. You're on my second monitor now, so thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.